Hello everyone, welcome to Murtazastic. Sorry for not uploading a video for last few weeks, but now I am back with this video. Originally, I was going to create 20 subscribers special, but then there were 22 subscribers, and also this is my 22nd Microworld. So I went with 22 instead of 20. And thank you very much for subscribing. Let's open up the Photoshop and make our own Frankenstein. First, we are going to need this 3D structure, and here it is. Now let us import our first image as our top surface. I created a selection around the top side and then added layer mask to this rocky surface. Then I started correcting top surface here and there. I added few ups and created some downs around the edges of the top surface. Then adjusted the whole image a bit, and here we go. Next, I added hue and saturation adjustment layer. I used this layer to colorize the surface. And here we go. Next, I imported this texture of a rock. I used this to make the sides of the microworld. I duplicated the image for the other side. Next, I distorted the texture and adjusted it with the left side of the microworld. I created a selection around the left side and then applied a layer mask to the rock texture. Here we go. Then I scaled it up a bit and adjusted it. Next, I did same on the right side but flipped the rock texture to give it a different look. I used exposure adjustment layer to darken the left side. Next, created a new layer and clipped it with the left side and started creating a dark shadow near the bottom edge of the left side. Next, created some slight shadows on the right side. This image was not fully extended on the right side, so I scaled it up, and here we go. Created some more dark areas by painting with black. Also painted this crack to make it look a bit more realistic. Here we go. Next, I started blending the edges of the side with the top surface layer. I just revealed some parts of the side by just painting with white on the layer mask of the left and the right side. Here is the result. I darkened the background of the whole image. These are just a solid fill color layers. I changed the color from light color to dark color. Nothing special. Next, I added shadows to the top surface by using the exposure adjustment layer. Created another exposure adjustment layer for highlights. Here we go. And I think our base is complete now. Let's group these layers and name the group as base. Here is already one group of the same name, so let's change this one to something else like 3D structure. Okay, here is our final base. If you are liking this video, feel free to subscribe. Alright, first I was going to use a truck, but then I realized that we don't have that much budget, so this will have to do. First I flipped it horizontally, but it did not look great, so I changed it back to its original view. Next, I tried to fix its perspective using distort and warp option. I use a layer mask to remove this long handle because we don't need that. Next, I colorized the card to a bluish tone, and here we go. Next, I started adding ton of shadows and highlights. The light is coming from the top right corner, so front side of the card is going to be dark and the right side is going to be bright. I added exposure adjustment layer for the highlights and another exposure adjustment layer for the shadows. I tried my best to make it look a little better. And here we go. Here is our final card. Let me know in comments what can be improved. Let us group these layers. Now it is time to add shadows below the card. I just added a new layer and started painting under the wheels of the card. Here we go. Next I added one more layer to add an ambient shadow below the whole card. It took some time to adjust the shadow, and here is the result. But still it is not perfect. I added new layer on top of the card and added some more shadows. Next, I added a solid white fill color layer on top to add a slight highlight around the edge of the card. Here we go. Now we need something to pull the card, and here's what I found: a bear. Perfect. I put him here and adjusted its position a bit. After some adjustments, here we go. Now it is time to add shadows and highlights. For that, I used exposure adjustment layers. You already know how it works. If you don't remember, let me tell you how it works. To add shadows, I decrease the exposure, then use a layer mask to reveal it on parts I need and hide it on where I don't. And same goes for the highlights. After adding highlights and shadows, here is our bear. The shadows at this point does not look perfect, but I readjusted them later and made them more horrible, as you will see. Next, I thought the bear needed a drop shadow. I know, genius idea, so I created one. I took some time to adjust the shadow and make it a bit better, or worse than it already is. Here is our final bear with a shadow. I copied the same hue and saturation layer to add bluish tone to the bear, but I decreased the opacity to 50%. Here we go. I added this tree stump for no reason, added some shadows to it as it was very bright. I also revealed back some bright spots. Took some time to adjust it and here we go. Next I added some shadows below on the ground. Here is what we have done so far. Next I used this image to make some rope around the bear, which are not looking good even in the end result. I worked the rope around the bear's neck and it looked like it was choking the bear. So I moved it a bit below his neck. But before that I readjusted the drop shadow of the bear and here we go. Here is our first rope. Here is our second rope. Next I added some shadows and highlights to make it look a little 3D-ish. Also added some shadows on the body of the bear. Added the same hue and saturation layer on top of these ropes. Here is how horrible it looks. Next, I tried to put a knot between the ropes and make it look like it's pulling the cart. But at the same time, I tried to make it look like the cart is broken and the rope is just hanging around the handle of the cart. I leave it up to you to decide how bad it looks. On a scale of 0 to 10, let me know in the comments how bad it looks. These ropes needed same highlights, shadows, and same coloring. Now I started to ruin the whole image by putting some random stuff here and there. First I put this glowing dot in front of the bear to make it look like the bear stopped to stare at this glowing dot. This dot will cast some highlights on the bear, so I created that highlight using the hue and saturation layer. Next I created a trail of these glowing dots. I added some outer glow to these dots. Next I erased some of the dots and here is the final look. Next, I created these fireworks behind the whole image. Gave these fireworks a bit of glow. I hid this layer for now and will work with it later. I don't know why, but I thought this tree might need something that is glowing inside it. So I created a solid color layer and made it look like it is glowing. I kept adjusting this glow from time to time as it was not looking great, but still I kept it there. I made fireworks layer visible and adjusted. I removed some fireworks and added some new. Adjusted the outer glow and here is the final look of the fireworks. So far we worked with the background, now it is time to add the main attraction to the scene. The number 22, the subscribers count. Thank you for subscribing. So let us create the number 22 in separate document. I created a 2000 pixel cross 2000 pixel document. Wrote the number 2 and user Russo 1 font. I duplicated the layer just in case I need it later. Made duplicated copy a smart object. I distorted it using distort option from the transform. Now I started making selections around the number. I drew some guidelines just to impress you guys and the truth is I don't know how these will be of any use to me. Anyways, I started making some solid color fill layers. I made 3 selections and created 3 solid fill color layers. I kept adjusting the shape from time to time. I used this one first, but the number 2 looked a bit slim, so I readjusted it and here we go. I imported this 2 in my main document. Next I duplicated the 2 to make it 22. I hit one and started working with the left one first. I added this rock texture again. I colored it with the top shape and colorized it. Now added some shadows to it as shadows are important to make it look like 3D. Next added same texture to the mid part. Added some shadows to it. Use the same image again on the bottom part and here we go. Next I used I'm not going to say it. I adjusted the texture on the front of the number. Now it took some time to make it look a little better. I erased some parts and readjusted the texture. After some time, here is what I created. Let me know what you think. Next, I created a highlight around the edges and set the blending mode as overlay and opacity to 60%. I deleted this 2 and duplicated our new colorful 2 and adjusted it a bit. Here we go. Next I created a selection around the top of the cart to put the 22 inside the cart, but without shadows it looks, well, it does not fit. So I added shadows and here we go. Coming back to our favorite tree stump and let's add some glow to it. Then I added the text subscribers on the side of the card, added some glow to it and played with some other settings for a while and here is the final look. Next, I thought to add some glow to the number 22, so I duplicated the group and created a smart object from it and added Gaussian blur to it and set the blending mode to color dodge. I first created several layers but removed those as it looked bad. The card needed some highlights as the number 2 is now glowing, so I created it using the same old hue and saturation layer. I also created a highlight on the ground. Here we go. Edit this texture here, distorted it and set its opacity to 20%. The glow on the tree looked a bit odd, so I changed color from red to orange and it still looks odd, I think. Next, I grouped all the layers together, created a smart object from it, but kept the fireworks layer outside the group, as it was creating some unwanted effects. I also created a smart object from the floor group. I tried to use camera raw filter separately on both camera raw filters, but later merged both layers and applied camera raw filter to it. In camera raw filter, I just adjusted some sliders and made this image a bit better. As you know, I use camera raw filter to hide the mistakes I make. Here are the two versions of the final image. This one looks a bit too bright and this one looks nice, I think. Here is the final, really final image. Let me know in the comments which one you like. That is it for today's video and if you like my content, feel free to subscribe and I will see you in the next video. Till then, check out these videos. Thank you for watching.